Hello, my name's James Watling and welcome to Peep Live, episode number 10. Apologise, we've started a little bit late. We'd planned to go live at 6, but unfortunately we had one technical problem after another. So after much head banging against the walls and resetting and plugging in wires and pasting the floors, we've managed to get something going. It's going to be a slightly shorter show than what we'd had planned, unfortunately, due to the time constraints. And secondly, unfortunately, we couldn't get hold of the phone-in guests or the potential guests. So it's going to be a little bit of kind of like a keepy-uppy episode. So, but thank you for tuning in to our regulars and those who've been patient enough to wait. Some of you guys might be when we've got Baz Jones from the Manor Gym who usually tunes in, but unfortunately he's probably on the doors as we speak. So you'll maybe listen to this in post. So as I said, my name's James Watling. I'm representing Team Alpha, which is training methodology and ethos, basically a combination of martial arts training, predominantly striking, some of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which I'm kind of back onto now with my coach, Tyrone Elliott. Shout out to Tyrone. Strength and conditioning work, strength training, track condition, nutrition, sports psychology, sports supplements, all these things you can find changing people's lives for the better permanently. You can find me on Twitter at WatlingHeart. Try Heart. The Northeast accent is starting to creep up on me. On Facebook, which I think is on James MJ Watling or something similar, and Team Alpha 124. You can also find me at the Northeast #1 elite fitness gym, the Super Gym, Elite Super Gym in Alnwick, which you can also find on Instagram. If you just type in Elite Gym Alnwick, you will find them. Come along for your #1 conditioning, fitness gym, weights gym, martial arts, the whole shebang. So and I'm here with my co-conspirator, Peep Sainsbury, CEO, proprietor and international man of mystery. We're coming to you from for the centre of Newcastle, our studio, our secret studio. It's kind of like the Bat Cave, but without as many bats, if you know what I'm saying.
It's kind of like the Bat Cave
without signal, without any signal, without any signal. So we're just kind of working off the back end here. This show is sponsored by Spendingmore Sports, a North Sea specialist sports retails. www.spendingmoresports.com. Spendingmore Sports have kindly sent us some tough wear hand wraps, bandages, and Empire Pro tape, which you can see over here. The competition, all you have to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel, and a name will be randomly selected on our next show from our new subscribers. We are still streaming, right?
Yeah.
I thought I've heard a sigh of a bad stream. So if you can subscribe to us, we will pick a random winner who will get this tape, the hand wraps, and the bandages as well. We are going to visit Spendingmore Sports hopefully next week on Friday morning, or we'll be going the following Thursday. We'll be having a grand tour of the sport.
Can you lift them up?
Yeah, sure, of the sports store. We will be having a grand tour of the sports store over the next couple of weeks, and we'll be obviously having that as a separate thumbnail to show you guys exactly what is in store in the store. See what I did there? So Spendingmore Sports, we'll be naming them a few more times throughout the show, and thank you to them for supplying us with some hand wraps, some goodies for the giveaway. In an upcoming episode, we'll have Richard Hunter from the Fit Hut, which is an online store, not combat based, more kind of recreation and sporting based. So that'll be an interesting show, and we'll have him on as a guest in the future. So let's move on to our regular section. As I say, we're kind of a little bit out of sorts today, but it's not a problem. We're going to get through it. Just for those who remembered last show, the Peep Top 10 crossover fights, fact or fiction. We had fights such as Trevor Berbick versus Nobikio Takodo, Hoist Gracie versus Art Jimison, Ronda Rousey versus Holly Holm, which is kind of a fight within a fight, Bob Sapp against Mirko Cro Cop, and of course Mayweather versus McGregor. So nobody won the competition, and nobody won it, and the answer to that was Rocky Balboa versus Thunderlips, because remember, it was either fictional or factional characters. So that was the winner, Thunderlips.
The ultimate male.
The ultimate male, apparently. The ultimate blonde male. Syntax, just a quick one. It's a feature playlist within our channel. If you want to go into Syntax, that's kind of a show within a show. At the minute we have up, I think there's a section on barter books. There's a section on contemporary art. Am I right in saying that?
No.
What was it? There's an art section on there, I'm sure.
Not yet, there isn't.
There will be soon. There will be soon. Okay, so Syntax is our offshoot. Also, we'll be covering the renovation of the Tyne Mouth outdoor pool, which I received an email off the organisers for that yesterday, which I haven't spoke to Cliff about yet. So we'll be rocking down there to go and see what's happening with the renovation of the pool and some surf action. We're going to take the expensive laptop and camera into the ocean. Cliff's going to try and keep it all above chest height. Cliff, come on. Cliff, you've been stressed. Come on, do you want to come on the show for a bit?
No.
Stick your head round this side of the camera. Let the viewers see you.
No.
You've had a tough night.
It's
It's been a tough night. So, yeah, and we're going to be showing you some surfing with Barry from Long Sand Surf School, one of the best surf instructors out there. So that's coming up. So on to, without further ado, combat news. We're going to talk a little bit about, there's a show recently with Pretty Boy Kelly. We're going to talk a little bit about Josh Kelly, who recently fought our own Newcastle, our own Metro Arena in Newcastle on June the 16th, just gone. His opponent was Australian professional Chris George, who at the time had a 14-0 record with 8 knockouts. He was basically a solid undefeated welterweight who previously had fought mainly in Australia and New Zealand and entered the fight with a Commonwealth title that was on the line. So Josh Kelly is a local northeast-based fighter, Sunderland-based fighter, I believe. Yep, he's an upcoming welterweight, a fantastic talent. He'd fought in the Olympics, obviously as an amateur before he turned professional. Known for his kind of unorthodox style, hand-down movement, quick footwork. He bases his style, in a sense, on his two favourite fighters, Roy Jones Jr. and, oh my God, Sugar Ray Leonard. Thank you, Brain. So Sugar Ray Leonard, his two favourite fighters, he kind of bases his style. So he has a very relaxed, hands-down style, you know, punching from various angles. Very good estimator of distance. He can just move away a step or two and just be out of range and out of distance, and kind of befuddles his opponents. Me. Yeah. Oh, all right for the mic. Sorry, man. Yeah. Hey, listen. All our errors are there for everybody to see. So, yeah. So Josh Kelly. No worries. Josh Kelly, he's got that kind of unorthodox style, as I'd said. He's known for that. Pretty Boy Kelly, because he is a good-looking guy. I used to be called Pretty Boy, believe it or not, back in the day when I was competing. But Josh Kelly, it catches up with us all at some point, believe it or not.
When I was competing, but in a different way.
There you go. So he's a local talent, fantastic, prospect. Let's say he's only had, I believe, 7 fights. I did have his record. I think he's 7-0 with, is it 5 KOs? 7-0 with 5 KOs. That's his record. So he's a you would say a novice pro, but it's interesting if you draw parallels in a sense with Lomachenko, who won a world title in 4 fights, and he was fast tracked perhaps because of his age. Now Lomachenko is 30 years old, I believe now, and our Pretty Boy Kelly is 25. So it seems that he's been fast tracked in his career, because he did recently win a WBA international title, and he defeated a former world champion actually, whose name has escapes me. Or was it Carlos? Was it Carlos Medina? I can't remember exactly, but he'd fought and beat an ex-world champion, so he is being fast-tracked, and he currently holds, well, he has a bronze European medal as an amateur, and he has a WBA international title and the Commonwealth title, which he won off Chris George, as I say, in his last fight. So Chris was defeated with a 7th round stoppage. It was a corner retirement win for Josh Kelly. There was some right-hand trouble with Chris. I couldn't find the information whether it was actually broken or damaged or what had happened, but you know, he was doing enough to stay on top, in a sense. To stay in there. He wasn't being, you know, overawed or massively dominated in a sense, or being knocked around, for want of a better term. But you know, Josh Kelly was on top. He was in control. He was in command. It was interesting because Chris George would come back and catch Josh a couple of times. You know, he caught him maybe 3 or 4 times cleanly, and he's not a big puncher, so there is question marks for the future if you know, with this kind of relaxed hand down style. You know, in the future, when he faces, you know, a big puncher and a legitimate high-level pro, if he's going to struggle with that hands-down style. So he became victorious, as I say, he's now 7-0. He was caught by potentially predominantly left hooks from his opponent, and as I say, he's known for his timing, his movement, and he's also very quick. His power, he has good power, not one-punch knockout power, but he hits, hard enough to let the opponent know and wear the opponent down. Although obviously he could knock, lower level professionals out with one punch, but I think at the higher level it's going to be points, wins, and wearing down process for him. So the future, which is the most interesting part, I thought, was his next opponent. There's two very credible, still young pros, but you would say on the downward slide of their career. Brandon Rios or Victor Ortiz, which is the one I'm most excited about, simply because Ortiz has a 41 fight tally with 32 wins, 6 knockouts, and 32 wins, 6 losses with 32. I'll say that again. I do apologize. I'm a little bit tired. 32 wins, 6 losses with 25 KOs, which is a very credible professional record. Certainly in MMA, it would be considered fantastic, and in professional boxing, maybe quite good, because we like to see people without as many losses. All that is changing now. We're respecting the fact that when you lose, it's at a high level. It's against somebody who can actually fight. So that's interesting me, because Ortiz is a former Mayweather opponent. He was stopped by Mayweather. I can't remember the round, but he threw the headbutt. Mayweather he'd apologized to Mayweather, I think, twice, and then for the third time he apologized, and Mayweather caught him and knocked him out with a left hook, which is more than, in my opinion, more than the right thing to do, because number one, protect yourself at all times, and Mayweather had to accept 2 legitimate apologies for the guy ramming his head into his and intentionally not just headbutting him, but like ramming his head into his. So after, twice, that's fair enough. But then for the third, so let's see what happens with Josh Kelly. He's a Northeast, one of the Northeast rising stars or stars. Great guy to have on the scene. Trained by David Hayes, former coach, and not his last coach because he'd left him, but his longtime coach who had actually raised him, whose name escapes me. Again, I apologize for being so tired. One of the best boxing coaches out there, and I can't remember his name. Do we have a name? It's fine. We're going to move on then. But so it'll be interesting. So I'm hoping that Josh Kelly's going to fight Victor Ortiz on his next fight, because I think that'll be a really interesting fight. And if he is to emerge victorious over Victor Ortiz, that'll be a very credible win for him as he moves on to his world title, potentially looking at a world title, within 10 fights or not far off 10 fights. So the next thing we're going to talk about on Combat News, just going to kind of rattle through, is the upcoming heavyweight fight between Joseph Parker, the former WBO champion, and Dillian Whyte. So 2 very respectable heavyweights. Joseph Parker, a New Zealand-based athlete. Dillian Whyte, obviously one of our own from UK, from London. Joseph Parker holds a 23 wins and 1 loss record with 17 knockouts, and Dillian Whyte holds a 24 wins, 1 loss with 18 knockouts. So as far as records are concerned, very evenly matched. Height-wise as well, from what I understand, they're both of a similar height, similar weight. Different styles, however, and they both have a what should we say, a familiar opponent. They both fought Anthony Joshua, both fought and lost to Anthony Joshua. Joseph Parker, in his last fight, he lost on points over 12 rounds. On, let's say, a conservative fight, I think they were both very they were both hitting each other in the heavyweights. Jesus, they hit a normal man, they're going to kill him. But it wasn't a massively aggressive fight. It was a very tactical fight. I had only watched highlights, not the whole fight, whereas Dillian Whyte was stopped by Anthony Joshua, and on his... in the 7th round, he was stopped, and Dillian was the first person to really rock Anthony Joshua as well. Now, Dillian had said that he came into that fight, he didn't have a physio, he didn't have a nutritionist, he was kind of doing his own thing, and he didn't feel as if he'd fully prepared to fight Joshua, and if he had have done it, may have been a different result. Dillian Whyte's now on a 7-fight win streak, I believe. His last fight was against an Australian fighter, Lucas Brown, I think it was. He managed to knock out Lucas Brown, a tremendous performance by Dillian Whyte, and Joseph Parker's last fight was against Anthony Joshua's loss. So there's some talk about how Dillian Whyte had come away from that with a knockout, whereas Joseph Parker come with a win. But it's really 6 and 2 threes in a sense, because the argument could be if Joseph Parker had been more aggressive, Dillian Whyte less aggressive, perhaps the roles could have been reversed, you know. So it is an interesting fight. It's the biggest fight out there as far as upcoming fights that have been confirmed in the heavyweight division. Clearly, if the Anthony Joshua and Dynamite Wilder, let's say, get it on, that will be the most anticipated fight in the heavyweight division. Donante. I think we can all agree. I was talking to some of my students, to shout out to Elliot and Emmanuel at Excelsior Academy. You know, we're talking about that, and they're saying, will it be the biggest fight of all time? Well, there's so many biggest fights of all time. It might be in the top 20 greatest heavyweights, anticipated heavyweight fights of all time. But certainly for my book, the most anticipated heavyweight fight, my prediction, and I'm predicting this, and I'm hoping the stream's good, is, and I'm a big fan of Anthony Joshua and Tony Wilder. I love them both, actually. I think Deontay. I think they're both fantastic fighters. I love them both. Of that fight, I think, you know, if Wilder connects, even though I believe Klitschko hits harder than Wilder, I think Wilder has a greater potential of stopping Anthony Joshua. Although I think with Joshua, you know, with his kind of closer, shorter punches and probably great, and I would say potentially greater punching output and combination output, that he could take the fight. You know, I think they're going to I think they'll cancel each other out, and it'll just be a points win. I think a points win for Wilder would be, you know, very unexpected, and a points win for Joshua more so. But my prediction is that whoever wins that fight will hope. Here's the thing, I'm actually going to predict a bit more. So Joseph Parker against Dillian Whyte, okay? Now, I'm going. It's 28th of July at the O2 in London. That's when it's happening. So get your tickets now if you can get hold of any, because it's actually not that far away. 28th of July. Between Joseph Parker and Dillian Whyte, I'm picking. I don't know. I mean, obviously Dillian's our boy, and I'd like to see him win. But I just think Joseph Parker might come back with something a little bit more. I would edge towards Dillian Whyte, but I do fancy Joseph Parker, so maybe I'm sitting on the fence there. The winner of that should then go on to fight perhaps Tyson Fury, because that would be a good fight for Tyson Fury. But I think...
I'm back in the mix now, James. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm back in the mix. I'm starting to listen to you.
No, it's fine. Well, I think it's interesting, because here's the thing. Let's say Joshua and Deontay fight. The loser of that could fight the loser of Joseph Parker against Dillian Whyte, whereas the winner then could go on to fight the winner of the Deontay and the Joshua. But then you could have one of either Joseph or Dillian, either the winner or the loser of that, then go on to fight Tyson Fury, which would equally be a very good fight. So we're in this time now where there's so much interest in the heavyweight division, and there's so much intrigue, but also a lot of kind of logic where, you know, it's not just nobody fighting nobody. The best guys are fighting each other. It's like a round robin of great fighters fighting one another. Maybe going back to the 80s, you know, was it ABC, the channel, when they had this kind of heavyweight tournament and had all the best heavyweights together fighting each other. So it's going to be interesting. But my prediction, as I said to start with Tyson Fury, I think is going to beat everybody. I think Tyson Fury is going to be no, I won't say undisputed, because I don't know how many belts everybody has between all of them, but I believe Tyson Fury is going to be the recognized heavyweight world champion and the linear world champion. I think he's going to go on to beat the winner of Whyte against Joshua, and I think he'll beat the winner of Joseph Parker and Dillian Whyte.
I think he's got another 2 fights.
Oh, he has, but only once. Well, he's only got one confirmed, as far as I'm aware. Has he got 2 fights confirmed? Because
I think he said he was having a 3-fight comeback.
Yeah, and then fight. Yeah, but what I'm thinking is one of those fights could be the winner or loser of Joseph Parker against Dillian Whyte, and then we could see him fight maybe the loser of Anthony Joshua versus Deontay, and then fight the winner of that. So it's going to be interesting. So Joseph Parker, Dillian Whyte, 28th of July at the O2 in London. My prediction is, well, let's quote it again: pain. Got to stare at the camera and say pain.
Shall I do the close-up, James?
Yeah, go on then. My prediction: pain.
I haven't got the best.
So
Sorry.
it's not a problem. Moving on. UFC number 3 EA Sports. Do you want to beat Dana White in the octagon? I forgot to mention this last time. UFC boss Dana has been added. I'm sure begrudgingly not. added to the list of fighters in the EA Sports game. It's good for the ego getting in the UFC. I think, do you know who else I think they comment in the section? Who do you think should be included in the UFC roster on the EA Sports game for the Xbox One and the PS4? Let's get them as a sponsor and get myself a white PS4. That would be nice. I think they should add Joe Rogan, because I think that would be awesome. And who do you think they should add to the UFC roster? I personally think Joe Rogan would be a great fighter.
Do you know who would be great, but not many people will know him?
I've got the exploding freaking chair.
Oh,
it's normally for the guest. Fuck's sake. Oh, sorry. F's sake.
The Tooth. I can't think of his name. The Tooth. He's on looking for a fight. Oh, see, there's not many. Nick the Tooth. Is it Nick the Tooth?
I'm not sure. Well, they've had Bruce Lee on there beforehand, and they've had Bruce Lee on, so. It's interesting. Right, let's move on. Come on then, guys. Let's keep it going. I apologise for my language before, but it wasn't too bad, and it was very, very brief. Usual slot. Okay, we'll try that again. We've got a graphic for it.
I hope so, mate.
Our...
2 seconds. Oh, it's been a crazy night, James.
It has. Our usual slot with Ridley Scott. Right, we'll do that again one more time. Let's get the energy up. Our usual slot with Ridley Scott. So The Passage, good friend of ours, an old friend of Cliff, and a big fan of the channel. We're going to get him on one day, or perhaps we're going to go over and onto the set of his latest movie, The Passage. This is a new show that Ridley Scott is involved with. It's based on the author Justin Cronin's best-selling trilogy. I'm reading off the board, guys, because I haven't done my research for this. Oh, just before I get onto this, upcoming, the Ridley Rewind that we do, we're going to do some of his classics. Coming up on the Ridley Rewind will be Black Hawk Down, which not many people know Ridley Scott was. Some people don't realize he was the director of that film, which he was, and controversially Aliens, which he didn't direct, but obviously inspired and, well, not more than inspired, but basically created the groundwork for with the first Alien film. So we're going to do a little bit piece on Aliens. Anyway. Oh, and here's another thing I'd like the viewers to... can we get some graphics for Aliens when we throw that up, Cliff? Because it would be great to get some footage, actual film footage as well. Because I want you viewers to give me, what's your favourite quote from the film Aliens? Yeah? What was it?
Oh my God!
Elevator ride to hell. That's one of my favourite ones.
What about the oh my God moment?
Which one's that one?
The oh my God! Oh my God!
On Aliens?
Yeah.
When's that? Tell me. I'm trying to...
The chest buster.
Oh, no, that's on Alien.
Oh, right.
But no, it might be on Aliens. It must be on Aliens as well. But, all right, okay, it is from Alien. I know what you mean. Which actress? It's the actress that shouts it, isn't it? Yeah, I'm with you now. But no, I want your favourite quote from Aliens. Here's another one. Nice and easy. I'm sure that's what Hicks says. Doesn't mean we're married or anything. Hicks says that, but that's not a very good quote. Some cracking ones, we'll come back to them. Right, so back onto the original one. I'm going all over the place here. Joseph Cronin's best-selling trilogy, The Passage, is now described as a thriller series about a secret government medical facility experiment with a dangerous virus that could either cure all diseases or cause the downfall of the human race. The series focuses on a 10-year-old girl who is chosen to be the test subject for this experiment. Brad Wolfgast, who I'm sure was involved with the Troy movie more than 10, 15 years back, who plays the federal agent but becomes her surrogate father as he tries to protect her. According to sources, Fox are now planning on reshoots as pilot came in below expectations. So, there's some archetypes going on there. The idea of a virus causing the extinction of the human race, that's linked to so many different zombie films. Walking Dead being the most recent one, if indeed it was a virus. Was it 28 Days Later? There's many comic books written about viruses, taking over and causing the death of human race. So it's quite an interesting topic in today's world, because we have this inbuilt, one of our emotions, disgust, is very closely linked from a clinical psychology point of view towards the idea of like disease and I suppose dirt, for want of a better word. And people have high disgust sensitivity tend to be very clean and have this fear of kind of infection, and it's something that hides within all of our psyche in a part of the brain that I don't recall right now. Obviously, I've been reading my clinical psychology, my neuroscience, and my Dostoevsky, so I'm not doing too bad on that one. And the idea of a 10-year-old girl, Dostoevsky, I pronounced that incorrectly, I do apologize. A 10-year-old girl who's then kind of fathered, the father figure comes along and protects her. That's all, archetypical kind of viewing, I suppose. So that could be interesting, but if it's coming below expectations, it'd be interesting to see what Fox's expectations are. And it could be worth Ridley Scott. I don't know what you guys think of this, going on to something like Amazon or Netflix, or who is it? Hula is the other pay channel, pay per monthly channel, because that's the new way that things are going and the way to go. Just out of interest, if you can support us, support Peep Live on Patreon. You can go on support.patreon/peepmagazine.co.uk. The graphic, well, I'm just going to run through this as the graphic comes up. If any business out there would like to support our channel or show or future shows, there's plenty of opportunity for brands looking to get involved with us. You can get in touch or subscribe. You can get in touch through Twitter at Peep Magazine, YouTube peepmagazine.co.uk, Instagram at Peep Limited, and email contact@peepmagazine.co.uk. And I should again say thank you to Spenny More Sports, Kieran at Spenny More Sports. Good to chat with him a couple of shows ago, who are sponsoring this show.
Yeah, thanks, Kieran.
Yeah, thanks, Kieran. I'm just going to think of Aliens again, just a quote from Aliens. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Again, thank you to Kieran and Spenny More Sports for sending these hand wraps. If you want to win these, if you subscribe to the channel tonight.
James, I'm going to get a close up of that.
Yeah, go for it.
Before, but I had the logo on there.
Well, if you subscribe to us tonight, subscribe tonight, we're going to pick of the new subscribers, not our current subscriber base, but any new subscriber that subscribes tonight, we will randomly draw out a name, and you'll chance to win these hand wraps that have been donated by Spenny More Sports.
We'll be dipping the hat. We'll be dipping the hat.
Dipping in the hat for the name next show. Next show we'll announce a winner. So we're going to move on to Peep XS Dumbo, the famous Walt Disney character. We're trying to reignite the interest in old Disney movies, and we're going to start tonight with Dumbo. And you might remember him as the elephant. What was the famous song? Is it Pink Elephants on Parade or something? I've watched Dumbo once. I'd love a good Disney movie. Also, on a future show, I'm just going to get Cliff's go ahead on this one. I think we should do a piece on Studio Ghibli. Do you even know what that is, Cliff?
No.
I don't believe it. As a man of art and culture, I thought you would know. Studio Ghibli is a Japanese animation studio that releases some of the greatest animated, what should we say, let's just say films, because I'm just being ignorant, but animated films and art ever in history. They've got some classics: Ponyo, Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, based on current novels. I think Ponyo was based on a novel. Howl's Moving Castle certainly was. Excuse me, I think Kiki's Delivery Service was. So we're going to do a section on Studio Ghibli. Anyway, coming back to Dumbo, but not the elephant. Dumbo, according to, I'm going to read off the card again because this is new stuff to me. According to sources, the prolific, I'm going to start that again. Dumbo or Disney, no, not really, just from here. According to sources, the prolific, have I said that wrong again?
Prolific.
I did say it right. Prolific graffiti artist Dumbo had to leave Milan at the risk of arrest, or you could say Italian mafia, or you could say Italian mafia. The writers tagged Dumbo can be seen in Lower Manhattan around Canal on West Broadway. In Milan, he seems to have hit every single building. Because when you think of street art, who springs to mind? Banksy often, which an interesting little tidbit for you, Cliff. Yeah. There's a house in Morpeth, a big white house, and on the big side of the building, do you know the famous Banksy, one of the lady holding the balloon? Is it a heart balloon she's reaching up for? Do you remember that one? That's on the side of the building. Shepherd Ferry or Vils?
I don't know how that's pronounced. Is it Villis or...
I'm going to say Vils. I'm going to say a silent H. I'm going to go with silent H. Thank you. But in Milan, he seems to have hit every single building. Peep recommend Dumbo, Acts of Vandalism and Stories of Love by Barry McGee. So Dumbo says, because I'm completely egocentric, because there are so many things to learn from vandalism, so why not do a little propaganda for it? Unlike those who tout graffiti as a newest high art form, I want to tell the grimy truth. The book represents an end of a period that I want to record before officially begin another chapter. So basically then what's he doing? He's going around and wrecking things and then leaving a tag on it.
Yeah, what was happening was he was based in Milan.
So he's based in Milan.
He was
based in Milan.
I think now he lives in New York.
Right, and now he lives in New York. So he's gone out and...
So when he lived in Milan, he basically bombed, like hit.
Right.
Not bombed.
Yeah.
But that's a graffiti term. Didn't literally bomb it. He tagged. He more or less tagged almost every building.
Right. So what he's doing is he's got, because graffiti artists and graffiti artists have their own tag, what's called a tag, where you'd leave your own mark basically, and he's going around just marking and tagging loads of buildings. So in a sense, perhaps he's bringing what he believes to be chaos to what he believes, bringing some chaos to what he believes to areas to be too orderly, so to speak. So that's an interesting one, and that's a book, Dumbo. But what you could do, we recommend reading books. You know how much we love books at Peep. But what I recommend, Cliff, I don't know if you would agree with this, just go on YouTube and type in Dumbo graffiti, or Google Dumbo graffiti, and at least watch a small clip on it before, to get you into the mood for perhaps buying the book.
Yeah, I had a couple of things wrote down, James.
Yeah, let's hand them over.
But there's actually a bit on YouTube you can actually... You can check this guy out.
So if you went onto YouTube, we're going to get Cliff on camera right now. Female viewers. Oh, he's not on camera. Here we go. I'm going to read off this. So
it's just a top bit, James.
Yeah.
It could be
I'm going to pronounce this. It's channel Intravista Dumbo Wiro Inferno FIV.
Yeah, you can catch some of them guys on that YouTube channel.
Yeah. So just have a look on their YouTube channel. I mean, go onto YouTube, have a little look, see if that's something that may interest you. Because it's an interesting, especially if you're already a fan of graffiti or I wouldn't say contemporary art, no, just graffiti based art, and a fan of Banksy, certainly. It could be worth checking out this Dumbo and seeing what you were to think of that. So just to quote him, this is what he says: unlike those who tout graffiti as the newest high art form, I want to tell the grimy truth. And the book represents an end of a period that he wanted to record before officially beginning another chapter. And the book is called Acts of Vandalism and Stories of Love by Barry McGee. So that's something to check out. That'd be interesting. We also recommend that you check out, if you have access to Fox channel, if you have some kind of illegal way of watching Fox, or preferably legal, even though 20th Century Fox is soon to be bought by Disney or Comcast for, guess how much is on the table? 71 billion.
It's a nice number.
But not as much as the 356 billion Apple have in their bank accounts. That's how much they've got. Well, so
I'm disappointed in Apple tonight.
Why haven't they contributed to Patreon? They may have already done so. Well, they're on the scene, aren't they? I've got there's Apple all over. I mean, so
we love Apple, we love them.
It's an intro. What I was going to say as well, guys, because we're coming towards the end. Want to message. We would like to mention the passage again, because we are big supporters and fans of Ridley Scott, as he is of us. And the passage. So that's going to be coming onto Fox. Hopefully shortly, because as we said, the reshoots, the pilot came in, the pilot test footage, or should we say the pilot for the movie, which basically means like a tester of it. So they'll film one episode and then they'll screen it to a private audience and then kind of get audience feedback, see what they think. Played a little bit under. So when it is released, then I should say, if you do have Fox or you have access to watching the passage, which is connected with Ridley Scott, support it by at least watching the first episode, because we like to support Ridley Scott. hopefully most of you guys out there have watched The Terror, which we talked about, which was based on a true story of two boats. Was it not the Victorious? Was it the Endeavour? No, not the Endeavour. Come on, get your history right. Jesus Christ. The Endeavour flew around the coast of...
The Terror,
Well, the Terror was the name of one of the boats, and I can't remember the name of the other boat. So two boats that were lost in the Arctic and never found again. But we're big supporters of that channel. I'd also like to actually, just because we're talking about film entertainment or series entertainment, fantastic recommendation. I don't know why I've never thought of putting this on the show, and we'll do a little cover of this. Cobra Kai. It's been out for a few months now on YouTube Red, and Cobra Kai is basically the continuation of the Karate Kid series with Ralph Macchio playing Daniel LaRusso, and his arch enemy, Johnny. What was Johnny's second name? What's his character's name? Chris Reed, if you're watching, let me know. I've forgotten. And that's a continuation of that series, of those films and that story in a series format on YouTube. And the first two episodes are actually free. So if you go onto YouTube and type in Cobra Kai, you will actually find the first two episodes free. And they're definitely worth checking out, because we are going to cover that in a future episode. So, I mean, that's pretty much all the content I have. I'd like to mention again, Spenny Sports, and thank you to Kieran at Spenny Sports for sponsoring this episode. We do apologise that we... Yep, go on.
We're going to run this one again because, repeat, we like to do things God.
Yeah.
We like to do things the right way.
Yeah.
Kieran, fear not if you're watching, pal. We're going to do that again.
The competition?
Yeah, we're going to run this show again, I reckon.
Not the content again. Not the same content.
We're going to run his content again.
Oh, absolutely. Well, here's the thing. For Spenny Sports, we are going to continue this competition. Now, we've asked for subscribers for tonight. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue this on the next show. And at the end of the next show, we'll just draw a winner out of all the subscribers that we've got. So the subscribers that are coming on tonight and the subscribers that are coming on to the next show, we'll put you all into a hat, so to speak. And then we'll draw out a winner from that bunch. And we'll announce the winner of these hand wraps from Spenny Sports. Also, we should also mention that we'll be visiting Spenny Sports in the upcoming week or so, either this week on a Friday morning, or the following Thursday, and we're going to visit the store. Okay, well, as long as we can fit it in around all the stuff we've got on, but definitely we're going to go see Spenny Sports. We're going to speak to Kieran in person, and then we're going to just get involved a little bit. It'll be interesting to see the store, see what he has in, have a little look, have a walk around, chat to Kieran, look at all the different stuff that he has on display. I'm interested in seeing his sneaker collection as well. I think that would be interesting. So we'll see what happens on that one. Again, I'd like to get people's predictions for the Joseph Parker-Dillian Whyte fight, which is coming up on the 28th of July at the O2 Arena in London. It'll be interesting to see, what people think of that. As I say, the heavyweight division is on fire at the moment. We've got some tremendous heavyweights there, and young upcoming heavyweights as well. So the heavyweight division has never been as strong as it is now. And we should also mention just finally British boxing. I mean boxing as a whole, I think is it's like a boxing renaissance. I remember would it have been the 90s when we had Roy Jones, we had 90s up to 2000s, Roy Jones, Ricky Hatton, Joe Kawasaki, Carl Froch on the back end of that, fighting. Lennox Lewis was another one. We had Tyson coming towards the end, Evander Holyfield. You could just rattle off names. I'm thinking of Shane Mosley, Floyd Mayweather, Vernon Forrest. You had Ricardo, the undefeated, apart from we had one draw. Was he strawweight? I think he was. Ricardo Lopez, that was it. Amazing fighters, and then we had a kind of a drop off in the early 2000s, but I'm saying mid as in between 20 and 2010, and maybe perhaps the back end, and then really a resurgence around about the 2012, 2013, 2014, and now we are in 2018, and boxing's never been as strong. We've got Josh Kelly, and obviously Lewis Ritson as well, from Newcastle. So we've got two of the best fighters out there.
James, could you mention the documentaries on the
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I want to shout out to Blood Boys, which is a Lewis Ritson documentary, which we'd like you to kind of check out. If you go onto if you just press the button onto Peep magazine, have a little scroll down there. You can see the documentaries that we have. Blood Boys being one of them. We have a short little piece on the In-Case sports field bag as well. We have a piece on Barter Books, which is certainly worth a watch, on the Elite Fitness Gym as well. So you can watch some of those fantastic documentaries. Have been watched numerous times, and some of the events we've covered as well. We've covered a number of fighting events as well. So yeah, dual fights. Obviously, shout out to our main man David Wield. Shout out to the manager, to Baz Jones, Steve Ibbotson, who's fighting soon on the Wolf's Lair. We'll be talking to Steve. He'll do a bit of a gym visit. And myself as a former world class, multi British title, European multifaceted champion, former pretty boy, now Kid Moore. Well, I'm no longer as pretty or a boy, so I suppose that those titles stick to you like glue, though, don't they? So you never pretty boy assassin. But it feels good to be retired. I feel really at peace with everything. There was a lot going on, physically, mentally, spiritually before the last one, but more than new chapter, absolutely, yeah. It feels it's a beautiful life, man. I'll tell you what, life is fundamentally about suffering and about struggle, and about pain of various types, but it's also about beauty. It's about passion. It's about following what you're passionate about. It's about love. It's about faith, and it's about finding something that you dearly are passionate about, and that you love, and that you have belief in, and following that pursuit, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be sport. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be kickboxing. It doesn't have to be boxing. It doesn't have to be combat sport. It doesn't have to be football. It doesn't have to be rugby. It doesn't have to be anything to do with sport. It could be to do with art. It could be to do with film. It could be to do with literature. It could be with nature, with study, with sometimes just getting up on a morning, taking a shower, and going out there and just focusing on other people, helping other people, going for a walk in the countryside, going for a walk on the beach, just appreciating the beauty of what we have around us, focusing outward instead of inward, and just doing some small thing. Maybe all it is just picking up a piece of litter, or picking up litter you see on the floor, or helping somebody up who's fallen over, or do something positive out there, something that takes you out of yourself, out of your own kind of destructive mind sometimes. And find some beauty in it. That's what we're all fundamentally here for. It's not about trying to achieve perfection. It's not about just material gains. It's not about just about yourself. There's many aspects to life. Go find something that you're interested in, that you even have an interest in. Develop that interest into a like. Develop it into a passion. Develop it into a love, into a pursuit, and that's going to make it worth getting up every morning and doing something. There's an old saying, I can't remember who said it, and it's something like, if everybody swept their own front porch, there would be no problems in this world. And it's true, and that's that's not a literal, it's a metaphorical. It can be literal. Go sweep your own front porch. If everybody did that, the world would change overnight. Remember, it's not about right, it's about responsibility. Pick some responsibility, however small that is. Dedicate yourself to that, and great things will happen. Tell the truth, tell the truth, be true to yourself. Take responsibility for yourself and for your own actions, and just take one step at a time in front of the other. Keep falling over, keep getting back up, and keep moving forward, because I tell you what, if we didn't do that at Peep tonight, we wouldn't have had a show, would we, Cliff?
Well, this is it. Nelly pulled the show about 5 times.
He did pull the show, but you know what? He didn't pull the show, because here we are.
There's no quit, James.
There is no quit. We just move forward, man. That's the thing, man. It's too easy to quit. You got to keep going. You just got to keep moving forward, one step at a time. Keep stumbling up the hill, carrying your cross, so to speak, metaphorically, and just keep going. Just keep getting up and keep moving forward, because that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, So I'm gonna throw a smile out in this beautiful light that you've created, and
I also want to take this time to apologise for anyone who tuned in.
Yeah, well, 6 or 6:30. The original starting time was 6. The announced starting time was 6:30. We missed both of those markers by a couple of hours or an hour or whatever. But that wasn't through want of trying. it was just through technical hitch from technical hitch through technical hitch. And we've managed to get through 9 shows without one. So we're still having technical hitches, but you know what? That's life, baby. That's life.
You learn from it, you move on.
Absolutely. So I think we're gonna have a show. I'm just going to discuss philosophy, and you know, and we're going to go from there. I think we should just have a show of me coming on and just philosophizing about different things and, you know, that kind of thing. Perhaps not. Or perhaps so. We'll have a book on next week as well. I'm reading a couple of books at the moment. So we're going to talk a little bit about those. I've got a long-term. I'm reading the Bible actually, which is a long-term project. I thought I'd run over that in a weekend. It's going to take me about a year. I'm reading an interesting book as well. So that's obviously that's the most interesting book. I'm reading an interesting book called "Why Men Don't Listen and Why Women Can't Read Maps." And it sounds a very sexist title, but it's actually a book based on fundamental science, biology, and DNA and neuroscience. It's a really interesting book. That's not the one I'm going to come on and talk about, unless you'd like me to. But we will bring on another book because we like to get people reading on Peep, don't we? We're here helping. You know, we're moving people forward reading. You know, we're teaching you to go out and read, go to a museum if you like museums. I know Chris Pratt doesn't like museums. Shout out Chris Pratt if you're not subscribing. Why are you not?
How do we get to that 2,000 subscribers?
2,000 subscribers, that's where we need to be. And guys, that's it. I think we've given you an hour or so. We've entertained, we've laughed, we've cried, we've become frustrated. We've had every single emotion from inside out that there possibly is. So we're going to finish on a bang and say thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you to Spending More Sports for sponsoring this episode. And we will be there shortly, and we'll see you guys in the next show. Thank you very much. This is James Watling at Team Alpha 1424 saying goodbye.